the fact that Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos are now one of the main sponsors of the Met Gala. I have so much to say about this, honestly. It's like absolutely insane the times that we're living in right now, where Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez Bezos are literally like being forced down our throats as like fashionable people and fashion people. Now, one thing I will say, because it almost feels like Anna Wintour has been courting Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos for a while now. I mean, we saw Vogue cover their wedding, and that she was wearing that ghastly, Lauren Sanchez was wearing that ghastly Dolce & Gabbana custom dress that she wore to her wedding. Absolutely ghastly. We also saw, we've just been seeing them forced down our throats. It seems to me that Anna Wintour has been like soft launching the Bezos family to us. And like the Met Gala is now this like kind of we've tested the temperature and we've seen that it's fine. So now it's fine for them to just like sponsor the whole thing. One thing I will say very bluntly about Lauren Sanchez, she is never going to be a fashion person. We are never going to look at Lauren Sanchez as a fashion person. She needs to give up. Lauren Sanchez has no contribution to fashion other than the fact that she's rich, by proxy of being married to Jeff Bezos. Meaning, no one looks to Lauren Sanchez for style. She's kind of a meme in fashion. A lot of stuff she wears are ghastly. Her wedding dress was ghastly. She's worn brands from like archives, like she's worn Archive John Galliano, but you're rich. Any rich person can wear Archive John Galliano. Like she's not even a tastemaker in fashion. So I don't understand why they're trying so hard to force Lauren Sanchez down our throats. Why are they trying to force it on us? Like, she's not a fashion person. I know she wants to be, but she isn't. So I just don't understand why they're forcing us to try and like adopt Lauren Sanchez as a fashion person. And it's quite funny because I saw a lot of conversations around this where they were saying that Jeff basically bought his wife the party because she's just not cool. So it's like Jeff just buys Lauren. He's almost like buying her way into fashion, basically. It's like instead of just like building her own, branding a personal brand as a fashion person, she's just buying her way into it. It's like, no one knows you for fashion, but I'm just going to give Vogue money and that's why they're going to cover my wedding. No one knows me for fashion, so I'm just going to buy the Met Gala and then be a big part of it, right? It's just like, I'm tired of it. I don't want to see these guys. I don't want to see Jeff, and I especially don't want to see Lauren. Like, it just feels like it's being forced down our throats. So I've not been the biggest fan of it, to be honest. But anyway, so if you guys didn't know, and it's quite interesting because they've taken it down, but the Met recently obviously had their announcement of the new theme, which is actually quite a really, really interesting theme, to be honest. Kind of like exploring artistic representations of the dressed body. Really cool theme. There's so much that they can do with it. Something I did find fascinating, actually. I read it in Amy Odell's newsletter. If you guys are not subscribed to her newsletter, what are you doing? But Amy Odell essentially mentioned that she heard from someone that, like through the grapevine, she heard that apparently the Costume Institute is kind of pushing for them to incorporate themes that mean that they can use the Met's existing collection, which saves money because then they don't have to start borrowing and insuring pieces and loaning pieces and doing all this sort of stuff. And also it's kind of helping them to push their permanent collection more, which makes sense, and it's like cost effective for them, so it makes sense why they would do that. But in this initial announcement, as you can see, they read it, if you're reading it, focusing on Western art from prehistory to the present. The show will explore artistic representations of the dressed body, pairing fashions and artworks from the museum's vast collection to highlight the inherent relationship between clothing and the body. Costume art is the inaugural exhibition in a new nearly 12,000 square foot suite of galleries adjacent to the Great Hall, which will display the department's annual spring show and mark a new chapter for the museum. Now, it's funny because they kind of removed it because there, as you can see from the comments, there's so much backlash about, the Bezos family being involved and being the main sponsor. So I'm going to read the statement that was there before they removed it. So it said, the funds raised to provide the Costume Institute with its primary source of annual funding for exhibitions, publications, acquisitions, and operations, and also to support other museum activities was made possible by Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez Bezos. Additional support is provided by Saint Laurent and Condé Nast. The catalogue is made possible by Saint Laurent. So that's actually like the full statement. So it is kind of funny that they've kind of been removing it over time. I do also agree with you, Culture. I also hate the whole focus on Western art as well. I mean, that's exactly what they've been doing since their inception. Yeah, 100%. And I think that's like a big issue because one thing about Western art anyway is that Western art is like vast. So Western art has a lot of inspirations from all over the world, all baked into it. So it's kind of like very reductive to only look at Western art or only to look at things through a Western lens. I think you should look through things through a global lens, with the West being a very important part of that, especially because, you know, the Met is in New York. It's in a Western country, but then also we can look at Asia, that's really influential in art. We can look at Africa, you know. We can look at Latin America. So at the end of the day, it's just very reductive to always look at things through a Western lens. It's very reductive. I do agree with you. But I do still think that there'll be many good things that will actually come from the Costume Institute. So yeah, it's very interesting, despite the overwhelmingly negative response online, that they've decided to continue to force these guys down our throats. Anna Wintour continues to push these people down our throats. And I think more importantly than anything else, something that I wrote in my notes and I wanted to highlight is, I think this is a big indicator of where Vogue as an institution is going, right? We've seen Vogue more and more lean more into becoming more of an events company than a fashion magazine. We've seen Vogue World, we've seen the amount of revenue they've been generating through Vogue World. And I think really having the Bezos family involved and invest in it, I think over time, it's going to become less and less of a thing that's for the Costume Institute and a fundraiser for the Met, and it's going to start to veer into a for-profit kind of spectacle the more time goes and the more that Vogue is looking at different events and how they can make money through all these events. So I wouldn't be surprised if 5 years from now, Jeff and, you know, Lauren are putting Amazon banners on the front page on the front of the Met Gala, and then Vogue is pocketing like a fee, a consultancy finder's fee for bringing the Bezos family on board, and that's going to like fund a lot of like Vogue. Because if they don't, you know, if they don't diversify, a lot of what's going to happen is going to be similar to what's going on at Teen Vogue, for example. But could it be that it's West facing because most of the Met's collection is Western costume? That's definitely part of it, but I even think part of the fact that the Met's costume collection isn't like mainly Western is kind of problematic in the first place. So the whole point of last year's theme was kind of to address that. So to address that last year, just to then do a complete 180 and then go in a completely different direction to that is just a bit strange. The upcoming building for the Costume Institute will be the Jeff and Lauren Bezos wing. That's definitely coming. It's definitely coming. And I know when I looked at the figures for how much exactly they are investing, I think it was like, was it 5 or 6 million? I can't remember the exact figure, but I remember it being like, I think 5 or 6 million. And to be honest, that's not that much money when you consider how much he's worth 233 billion. Oh my God, I didn't even know he was worth this much. He's worth $233 billion. Oh my gosh. So yeah, $6 million investment is nothing to someone like him, right? It's literally nothing. It's like me going to buy groceries now and buying a loaf of bread. It's literally the equivalent of that. It might even be less than that, to be honest. Like 233 billion is outrageous amounts of money. That is outrageous. I didn't even know that, because I haven't checked net worths of like these like richest men in the world for so long. I didn't even know that like there was a time when all of them had like 100 billion in like net worth around there. So they've moved into the like 200s. How much is Elon Musk worth? Wait, I'm just so curious now. 460 billion. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So these guys, like Jeff has the power to literally just buy the whole of not the whole of the fashion industry, but I mean like in terms of media. I mean, Jeff already owns really big media companies anyway. So him adding Vogue to the portfolio won't surprise me. And him, you know, trying to take over like the Met Gala and all that sort of stuff won't surprise me either. And it seems like Anna Wintour has kind of been slowly introducing it into fashion. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the Bezos family being heavily involved and being a major sponsor for next year's Met Gala. If she buys herself a CFDA seat and names the award after herself, that will be a real flex. That's insane. Yeah, I remember 2022 and Arnold was the richest with 180 billion. What the F is 460? Yeah, 460 billion is insane. Like, that means in like 20 to 30 years, if we're not careful, there'll be actual trillionaires. Like, trillionaires. That is outrageous. Like, that is wild. And like, people are literally struggling to make ends meet. Like, that is crazy. Let me see what you guys are saying about this in the chat before we move on. Before we move on from the Bezos family hijacking fashion. It's so funny because before I hopped on the stream, right, I was reading, and I won't read to you like all of this article, but if you guys want, definitely read this article. It's a really good article, but it's essentially via The Independent. And the title is How Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez Set Their Sights on Becoming the New Posh and Becks. And it's so funny because it's like, this is the problem with like people that are like really rich. I feel like sometimes you might get to a level of wealth where you genuinely think that you can buy cultural capital, but you can't. So the thing about, you know, Posh and Becks is that David Beckham is a cultural icon. Like, people actually love David Beckham. David Beckham played football for England. He played football for one of the most iconic football clubs of all time, Manchester United. He played for, you know, Real Madrid, one of the most iconic football clubs in the world and the most successful club in history. He is like a legend in sports. Then you have Posh, who obviously is a really famous singer. So it's like, and then obviously has gone on to like build a really big brand that is like doing well right now. So it's like, how can you compare people that are genuine fashion icons? Like, people genuinely look to what Victoria Beckham wears as like, you know, I'm going to dress like this. Victoria Beckham wore it. I'm going to wear it. Like, people actually love the Beckhams. Like, no one loves the Bezos family. Lauren Sanchez is not a style icon. No one looks at Lauren Sanchez for style inspo. She's not influential in anything. She's not influential in journalism. She's not influential in media. She's not influential in fashion. It's just money. That's it. Jeff obviously is influential in business, but not in fashion. So it's just like, it's insane that they think they can just use money to become the next like David and Victoria. It's like very, very silly. Very silly. How could you be so rich but also so try hard? Exactly. The social network was so prescient when it comes to these demons just wanting normal human connection and only finding one way to achieve it, by swindling their way to billions. Yeah, it's just, you can't buy approval. If you want to be a fashion icon, you have to build it. And obviously money helps, because money means that you have access to everything. But what you can't do is completely buy your way into being like influential in fashion. That's not how it works. Like, everyone who's influential in fashion is influential because they've paid their dues. Like, Anna Wintour is influential in fashion because she's literally been the head of the biggest media company in fashion since before I was born. So it's just like night and day with these people. This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind-the-scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.